Well, I think that Donald Trump clearly is not going to run a campaign based on policy and based on issue. He's going to run a very nasty, misogynist, racist campaign. If you look at the campaign he ran in 2016 against Hillary Clinton, compared to what he's going to try to run against Vice President Harris.
Can I finish, Simone? Will you just shut up for a minute and let me finish?
Pardon me, sir. You don't get to tell me to shut up on national television.
And we don't tell people to shut up on this show.
I want you to watch this entire clip of Katie Tur and Al Sharpton and some other woman having a conversation about Kamala Harris and her run for the presidency. Wait until you hear how they lay out all of her accomplishments. Oh, wait, what I meant is they don't. They just say that if you don't support her, you're probably a racist.
If Vice President Kamala Harris becomes the Democrats' presidential nominee, the party would be making an historic gamble, betting that a biracial woman can overcome racism, overcome sexism to defeat Donald Trump. Already, the prospect of her candidacy has injected enthusiasm and energy that's been missing in this race so far. In an extraordinary display of solidarity, 44,000 black women gathered virtually Sunday night, raising over $1 million in just 3 hours to support Harris. And according to the campaign, we just got these new numbers in. They've raised a record $81 million in the first 24 hours. That's added to a $240 million war chest. But for some black voters, the momentum comes an awareness that Harris is barreling toward the hardest to shatter ceiling in U.S. politics, and that there could be very real consequences if she doesn't break through.
Joining us now, the host of MSNBC's Politics Nation and president of the National Action Network, Reverend Al Sharpton, and New York Times opinion columnist and a co-host of the Matter of Opinion podcast, Lydia Polgreen. All right, so Rev, lay out what the worry is. What do you think might happen with the way that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance go after Kamala Harris?
Well, I think that Donald Trump clearly is not going to run a campaign based on policy and based on issue. He's going to run a very nasty, misogynist, racist campaign. If you look at the campaign he ran in 2016 against Hillary Clinton, that is going to be considered good behavior compared to what he's going to try to run against Vice President Harris. One, because he has race and the gender question. And secondly, because he is fighting for his life. This man is facing several trials and has already been convicted. So I think that we can get ready. And I talked to the vice president last night. I think she is ready. I think we get ready for a nasty campaign. I think, though, the nastier he gets, the more America will have to choose. Do they want that kind of person back in the White House?
Lydia, I was reading your article today, your column about Kamala Harris being a DEI candidate, and if so, so is J.D. Vance. And you write that the two of them, Kamala Harris and J.D. Vance, have a few things in common. They were both raised by tough, charismatic matriarchs. They both pursued legal careers. They both sought and won high elected office. They both come from backgrounds that are underrepresented in the halls of power. And now they are both engaged in the core work of politics, translating their stories into power. We've got to ask why one of these two remarkable Americans stands accused of getting where she is based on DEI. You say the answer, you fear, is written on their faces.
I'm afraid it is written on their faces. And I think it's really important for us to think about the way in which race plays a role in our politics. And it's very clear that there will be an attempt to try and paint Kamala Harris as being some sort of, like super lefty, black progressive. And the great irony of that is that's not who she is. They're going to try to do it, but it's not going to work. And when that doesn't work, I think the Reverend is absolutely right. Their next resort will be to out and out racism. And when I think about how that's going to play, I think a lot about my grandmother, who was a conservative Republican, white Republican from Wisconsin, for whom overt displays of racism were just too nasty and disgusting to countenance. Sadly, she passed, but that's part of why she could never vote for Donald Trump the first time she didn't vote for a Republican in a presidential election in her lifetime as an adult. And I think that that's a big part of what is going to be a problem for Donald Trump in running against Kamala Harris. He's going to have to treat the race issue like a very delicate stick of dynamite. And I don't think he's capable of that. I think out-and-out racism just doesn't fly. And the gender stuff has changed too. I mean, we're talking about an election that's happening in a post-Dobbs environment and really sort of fully post-Me Too as well. And I think it's just going to become a lot harder for him to caricature and paint Harris in the ways that he was able to caricature and paint Hillary Clinton.
Rev, it's Chris Jansing, and you and I were sitting on set together last night after this news broke, and we talked to Congresswoman Beatty, who was talking about this big call that was happening, right, among any number of black women's groups, from sororities to activist groups. And when she said, I think we could get as many as 20 to 30,000 people on that call, I said, what? 20 to 30,000? It ended up being 44,000. We know that black women have been a bulwark for the Democratic Party. We know that it was the black vote that made Joe Biden president. Does the black vote and the energizing of black women play a different role, maybe even a bigger and more critical role this year if Kamala Harris does indeed end up at the top of the ticket as it appears?
I think that they will play a critical role because they understand that they've had to carry the burden that she has had, and that is racism and misogyny, even from some black men. Let's be real candid about that. And I think I remember when I was 17, I was youth director for Shirley Chisholm running for president. We had more problems with black men elected officials than anyone else. So I think
can I just interrupt you for a second, Rev? Because, you know, we have all these reporters out in battleground states, and one of them asked today, a black man, his reaction to Kamala Harris, and his concern was whether America was ready for a black woman president.
And my answer to that is America wasn't ready for us to leave the plantation. America wasn't ready for us to come from the back of the bus. It's when we get ready that America moves forward. America wasn't ready for Barack Obama. Let's remember Donald Trump said that he wasn't even a real American. He was born in Kenya. And he was going to produce this birth certificate that he never produced. So the question is not, is America ready? The question is, are we ready? And if we're ready, we will bring the country where it needs to be brought to.
Lydia, the, I guess, conventional wisdom right now is that Kamala Harris needs somebody that's going to shore up her weaknesses. And the talk has been a lot about needing, you know, a white man from either a red state or a swing state. Is that conventional wisdom powerful today? I mean, does it have to be a white guy, or can it be another woman? And if it is another woman, what does that mean for all of those women out in this country who marched after Donald Trump won the election and were so angry about how they felt the way that he treated Hillary Clinton and how the electorate, the Electoral College at least, treated Hillary Clinton? Let's remember that she won the popular vote. Do you think that, you know, you're talking about it being post-Me Too, do you think that this moment has changed enough for there to be two women on a major ticket?
I think that anything is possible. I think it's indeed, I can contemplate a ticket that is Harris Whitmer. That sounds really exciting to me. But the truth is that every single presidential ticket has diversity in it. And the VP pick is always, in modern times, a diversity pick. You know, Donald Trump picked Mike Pence because he was an evangelical Christian, and Donald Trump was not an evangelical Christian with any sort of credibility. So the reality is there's absolutely nothing wrong for in Kamala Harris picking a white man from a swing state as her running mate. I don't think that's a reflection of her weakness. It's a reflection that she's taking this seriously, as any presidential candidate would, and is trying to build the strongest ticket that she possibly can. And that means having geographic, racial, gender, religious, all kinds of diversity so that you can appeal to as many people as possible.